Hello and welcome. Thanks for tuning in to Westferry Times.
Glad to be here.
Today we're doing a bit of a deep dive into Edinburgh's cultural scene. It's been getting some serious attention lately.
Indeed. That timeout ranking really turned some heads.
Absolutely. Third best city for culture in the world for 2025. I mean, alongside Paris, Florence. That's big.
Certainly is.
So our mission today really is to unpack that. Why Edinburgh? What makes its cultural scene so, well, significant? And helping us do that is Dr. James McAllister, cultural historian and professor at the University of Edinburgh. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a fascinating topic, and I'm happy to explore it with you.
Great. So let's start right there with the ranking itself. Time out. How do they even figure this stuff out? What's behind that number 3 spot?
Well, it's quite comprehensive, actually. They survey thousands of city dwellers. Looks like over 18,500 this time.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and they ask about the quality of cultural offerings,
Right.
how affordable things are, and just the general, vibe, the vibrancy.
So it's not just about having famous museums, it's about the whole experience.
Exactly. Quality, cost, energy.
Hmm.
And Edinburgh clearly scored very well across the board, according to the people who live there and visit.
Right. So, third place. What are the core things, the pillars, that pushed Edinburgh so high up that list?
I think it's a mix of things, really. You got this incredibly rich history. I mean, the city itself is almost a stage set.
You feel it just walking around.
You really do. Then, layered on top of that, you have the festivals. They're world famous for a reason.
The Fringe, the International Festival.
Precisely. Huge draws. But it's not just the established giants. There's also a growing scene of newer events, more contemporary stuff, inclusive initiatives, too.
Okay, let's dig into the festivals a bit more. The Fringe and the International Festival, they're legendary. What's their specific magic?
Well, there's sort of two sides of the same coin, in a way. The Fringe is built on this radical open access idea. Anyone can put on a show.
So, total chaos, but in a good way.
Kind of. It means incredible variety, thousands of performances, theater, comedy, music, everything imaginable. It's raw energy.
And the International Festival.
That's more curated. It brings in top-tier international artists, really high-quality performances across music, theater, opera, dance. It sets a benchmark for excellence.
So you get both the experimental and the established side by side.
Exactly. And that concentration of culture in August is just unparalleled.
You mentioned newer events, too, that it's not just resting on its laurels. What else is adding to this vibrancy?
Yeah, things like the Days Festival. That's a newer one, adding different flavors. And quite significantly, the opening of Europe's first museum of contemporary Palestinian art.
Oh, interesting.
It really is. It shows a commitment to broadening the scope, bringing in diverse global perspectives, and tackling, important contemporary issues through art.
So these festivals, especially the big ones, have been around for ages. How do they stay relevant? How do they keep pulling people in?
Adaptation is key. They have to evolve. Look at the Fringe. During the pandemic, they really leaned into digital performances.
Right, I remember that.
And that opened things up, reached new audiences. It's a flexibility they've kept. And the International Festival, too. It's not just classical European forms anymore. They're increasingly showcasing global music, different dance traditions. It keeps it fresh, speaks to more people.
That makes sense. Okay, let's shift a bit. Beyond the festivals, what about the year-round cultural players, the big institutions?
Ah, yes, they're the bedrock in many ways. They preserve and present Scotland's heritage, but they're also very active currently.
Like the Scottish National Gallery, the National Museum.
Exactly. The National Gallery holds, well, the nation's art. The National Museum of Scotland covers history, science, nature. It's vast. And don't forget the Writers' Museum, celebrating Scotland's incredible literary heritage.
And are these places just looking backward? Or are they part of the current conversation?
Oh, very much part of the current conversation. Preserving the past is vital, of course, but they also mount major contemporary exhibitions. They tackle big themes, identity, climate, migration through art and objects. They host talks, debates. They're living institutions.
That's crucial. Now let's talk accessibility. Is all this amazing culture actually available to everyone? Or is it just for tourists and the well-off?
That's a really important question, and Edinburgh does put effort into this. Especially during the festivals, the Fringe has loads of free shows, street performances.
So you can soak up the atmosphere without spending a fortune.
Definitely. And many of the big museums and galleries have free general admission or specific times and schemes for discounted or free entry. They're trying to lower those financial barriers.
That's good to hear. What about the locals? How do Edinburgh's own communities get involved? Are they just spectators or are they shaping the scene too?
Oh, they're absolutely integral. Local artists, community groups, they're running grassroots events, workshops, local exhibitions all the time.
So it's not just the big famous stuff.
Not at all. This grassroots activity is what gives the cultural scene its texture, its depth. It reflects the city's diverse voices, keeps things grounded and dynamic. It's a really rich ecosystem.
A real synergy then between the big international events and the local community stuff.
Precisely. They feed off each other, I think. It creates something quite unique.
Okay, thinking bigger picture now. Does all this cultural activity actually, pay off for the city economically?
Oh, undoubtedly. The cultural sector is a major economic driver. Think about tourism alone. The festivals bring in huge numbers of people spending money on accommodation, food, shopping.
Creates jobs too, I imagine.
Absolutely. In hospitality, in the venues, technical staff, artists themselves, plus international collaborations bring investment and prestige. It's significant.
And beyond the money, what about the social side? Does it make Edinburgh a better place to live?
I believe it does. Culture fosters social cohesion, shared experiences, seeing your community reflected, taking pride in your city's creativity. That all contributes to well-being, sense of belonging.
It sounds amazing, but it can't all be easy. What are the challenges? How do they keep this going?
Well, funding is always a challenge for the arts. Finding sustainable models,
Sure.
ensuring genuine accessibility for everyone, not just those in the city center or with more resources, is an ongoing task. And balancing the huge influx of tourism with the needs of local residents, that's a tricky balancing act. Managing crowds, housing costs, that sort of thing.
But it sounds like the city is aware of these issues.
Yes, I think so. There are active cultural policies trying to address these things, and that strong community engagement we talked about is vital for finding solutions that work locally.
So, looking ahead then, what's next for Edinburgh's cultural scene? What are the ambitions?
The focus seems to be on nurturing what they have while pushing forward. So more support for emerging artists, trying to help the next generation break through. Expanding digital platforms using technology to reach even wider audiences, nationally and internationally, and continuing to build those global partnerships. The goal is really to cement Edinburgh's place as, well, a leading cultural city for the long haul.
It's a really positive outlook. This has been incredibly insightful. Thank you so much for walking us through it all.
It's been my pleasure. It's always enjoyable to talk about Edinburgh's culture. There's so much there.
So that wraps up our deep dive today. It seems clear that Edinburgh's success comes from this potent mix of deep history, festival fireworks, and a real effort towards involving everyone.
And that willingness to adapt, to bring in the new alongside the old. That's crucial.
Absolutely. It really makes you consider how that blend of respecting tradition while embracing innovation shapes a city's global standing, doesn't it? Maybe take a look at that full timeout ranking yourself, see what makes other cultural hotspots around the world tick.
A worthwhile exercise.
Thank you again for joining us for this deep dive here on Westferry Times.
Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in. Goodbye for now.